The core identity of the empowered super empath. This is going to be good. Let's go. Hi friends, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Tamie M. Joyce. I'm the founder of Tamie M Coaching, and I run a powerful 8-week transformational coaching program called the Freedom Class, specific to healing and recovery from codependency and narcissistic abuse. If you'd like to learn more about the possibility of becoming a coaching client, there's a link in the description below this video where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. So let's talk about the core identity of the empowered super empath. But first, it might be helpful to begin by defining what exactly is a super empath. Well, in my view, to be a super empath simply means that you are a highly empathic mission soul who has done your work. You've healed your family of origin wounding and trauma to a large degree and have come out the other side more whole. In other words, stronger, more peaceful, more clear, confident, self-aware, and self-actualized. You have not only taken your power back, but you have fully stepped into your personal power, divine mission, and calling. And as a result, you're not messing around, meaning you are not someone to play with. And as such, you are no fun for the narcissist at all. And although super empaths are certainly highly empathic humans, there's more to it. They are empowered souls who understand that they are here to serve humanity in their own unique way, not least of which by anchoring in higher frequencies that they themselves may or may not even be aware that they carry. Now, because super empaths so easily pick up on other people's emotional and energetic state, along with their true intentions, hidden judgments, attitudes, behaviors, and personality traits, super empaths can temporarily take on those traits and then project them back to their rightful owner, which makes them triggering as all get out to be around if you're fear-based, shame-based, or have anything to hide. Anything that an individual is attempting to hide from both themselves as well as others, like, for example, their fear, insecurity, or feelings of inadequacy, their envy, or any suppressed guilt, shame, and anger that they may carry. If someone has traits that they don't like about themselves, they will inevitably be triggered and thus reminded of those traits when they're in the presence of a super empath. And this is one reason why there can be sometimes an instant dislike towards a super empath, in particular when meeting people whose comfort zone is denial, toxicity, and dysfunction. Deeply unconscious people don't fare well with super empaths. They can't take the heat. Why? Because without even realizing it, the super empath will reflect back to others the truth that they aren't yet ready, willing, or able to face about themselves. And instead, they prefer to hide from, deny, and project. And in my view, this is precisely why so many super empaths have had the experience of being cast as the family scapegoat in dysfunctional and abusive family systems. The frequency that a super empath carries is disruptive in this realm. And that is quite divinely ordained and on purpose. We didn't come to the planet wired the way that we are for nothing. Painful as our journeys may have been, or may still be even, there is divine purpose in all of it. Think about it. Change is needed here. And super empaths are, by and large, the most disruptive change makers around. Even as children, simply by virtue of the energetic frequency that a super empath carries, they remind others of who they are, for better or worse. And for less evolved, less secure, and less conscious individuals, needless to say, this can be extremely uncomfortable. And this is, in part, what I mean by divinely ordained. In addition to being fully committed to their own healing and ascension journey, the super empath can absolutely be the catalyst to healing and growth for others. However, when dealing with people who land on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, that opportunity will be squandered, and instead the result will more likely be full-blown projection. Projection is the narcissist's subconscious protective mechanism and survival strategy. And when triggered or threatened in any way, the narcissist will attempt to project all of their disowned shadow parts onto the super empath. Now, the point of all of this projection, of course, is to shift blame, shame, accountability, and responsibility onto the other. In other words, make the super empath responsible for all the appalling attitudes and harmful choices and behaviors that actually belong to the narcissist. Narcissists need to unburden themselves of all the stuff buried deep in their subconscious that they cannot own, acknowledge, or accept about themselves. All the stuff that they keep far removed from the light of any potential self-reflection that could result in lasting positive change, if only they were capable. Which, my friends, they are not. Rather, all the narcissist has in their tool shed, so to speak, is lies, denial, manipulation, and projection. So they'll project their stuff onto the nearest highly empathic target in the hopes of being able to continue in the illusion that they're superior and far more virtuous and accomplished than they are in reality. Now, like all empaths, super empaths look for and often see the best in others, even when it's not actually there. But you can't fool a super empath for long, if at all. Super empaths are astute observers, and once they're onto you, there's no turning back. Super empaths can spot disingenuous people a mile away, and they have little to no tolerance for feeble attempts to justify and rationalize bad behavior and relationship crimes. They are the ultimate walking lie detector, so don't waste your time trying to lie to or manipulate a super empath. And don't kid yourself, just because they aren't calling you out or engaging doesn't mean they aren't onto you. I assure you, they are. Super empaths are super intuitive. They feel everything deeply. They pick up on even the most subtle shift in energy. They are emotionally strong and carry genuine self-love, self-respect, and an abundance of healthy self-esteem. As I alluded to earlier, this is mainly because they've actually done their healing and recovery work. They're fully committed to personal growth, spiritual development, and ascension. They've done the work necessary to deal with any limiting beliefs that have held them back from the truth of who they are at their core, their divine essence. And for this reason, they have a very strong core identity. They know exactly who they are and who they are not. They do not require your validation or approval. They know their own mind and they trust themselves. They have the power of clear, wise discernment. And furthermore, they don't lie to themselves, ever. And they certainly don't lie to, for, or about others. Let me say that again for the people in the back. They don't lie to themselves, ever. And they certainly don't lie to, for, or about others. Got it? Good. Super empaths have been through the fire more than once and have come out the other side stronger, wiser, more grounded, more clear, and more confident as a result. They are loyal to the truth, honest to a fault, straight shooters, which of course is problematic for people who prefer the cozy comfort of denial, deception, manipulation, and dysfunction, like, for example, the destructive narcissist. Unlike other empaths, the super empath is not a good target, mainly because they're not easy to con. You can't manipulate a super empath without inevitably experiencing some serious pushback, usually through the laying down of some hard and sometimes even ugly truths, which is just one more reason why they're so problematic in dysfunctional family systems and other toxic low vibrational circles. They see through people and they do not miss a thing. That smug on your face, or the way you exposed your weak, insecure, and passive-aggressive nature with the rolling of your eyes, although they'll likely ignore it, none of that nonsense goes unnoticed, but neither does it land. And it certainly doesn't affect them. It simply exposes you for who you are and where you belong in their life. Super empaths are clear. They pick up on disingenuous intent and emotional manipulation right away, and then conduct themselves accordingly. It's not that they're cold or unfeeling, it's that they're onto you. Big difference. Super empaths do not scare easily. You can't intimidate a super empath, so don't waste your time trying. Unless, of course, you like to live dangerously. Then go ahead, but don't say I didn't warn you. Super empaths are not hostile by nature. They don't go out of their way to create conflict, but neither do they back down or roll over when the occasion calls for it. Going nose to nose or toe to toe with a liar, a toxic bully, or an emotional manipulator will be something they're quite prepared to handle, anytime, anywhere. Again, if the occasion calls for it. And this, of course, makes liars, toxic bullies, and emotional manipulators very uncomfortable. They're outmatched, and they know it. But if you're genuinely coming from a good place, there's nothing to fear. Super empaths are kind-hearted and boundaried. And because of that, unless you've made the mistake of pushing them too far, more often than not, they'll just walk away from the unnecessary bullshit. They don't compromise their standards or personal integrity for anyone. Super empaths are genuinely kind, loving, and forgiving, but never to their own detriment. They are anything but doormats or pushovers, and they dropped the people-pleasing nonsense a very long time ago. They take care of themselves. And because of that, they are not only more able to take care of others, appropriately, of course, they are also more able and empowered to live a life of true service and impact. Remember, they are empowered mission souls. They are clear. They know why they're here, and they aren't wasting their time, energy, or resources on unnecessary pain, drama, or trauma, and the people who attempt to bring that to their doorstep. Furthermore, they know how to maintain their personal power by not allowing others to have any power over them. And although genuinely highly empathic and truly sensitive souls, they are stronger than most humans can fathom or imagine. And for good reason. As I've said, they've been through the fire and have come out the other side more of who they are on a soul level, never less. Super empaths know who they are, and if you don't see their value or are in any way threatened by their strength and personal power, no sweat. That is entirely on you and fully your loss. They are fiercely independent, having healed their codependency and wounded inner child, and as such, they can afford to be interdependent with other relatively healthy and safe human beings. Super empaths know their worth, and when faced with people who are unable to see it or treat them as such, the super empath is likely to simply walk away. They're not dancing for the approval of people who do not have it to give. Now comment below and let me know if you've ever encountered a super empath, or better yet, do you identify as one? Let me know in the comments section below. And if you're an empath and you know it's time now to grow to the next level, elevate into a super empath, then you're likely an excellent candidate for one of my coaching programs. If that's of interest to you, there's a link in the description below where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. Now, with all of that said, do not ever make the mistake of underestimating a super empath. They're smarter than the average bear and again, highly intuitive, so nothing gets past them. They aren't driven by fear, ego, or insecurity. They're predominantly grounded, calm, and clear, spiritually connected, and in possession of all of their superpowers. And for this reason, they won't entertain phony. Neither will they enable you and your nonsense or prop you up in your denial. They absolutely cannot abide dishonesty. Any form of lies, including lies by omission or using truth out of context, will be an absolute deal breaker with a super empath. They tell themselves, and where appropriate, others, the truth, always. Respectfully and appropriately, of course. No matter how uncomfortable, inconvenient, unpopular, or painful even. Unlike most people, they have the strength and the courage required to live a life completely aligned with truth. Furthermore, you can rest assured they're onto you, which is fine if you're a decent human being with nothing to hide. People who have nothing to hide, hide nothing. But if you have malicious or malevolent intent, if you are a manipulator in any way, if you're lying to yourself and others all the day long, you're in the wrong room with a super empath if you think you're going to get away with that kind of thinking and behaving for very long. Their frequency alone will be enough to make you do one of two things: come clean or run. There really will be no other option. Lie to them or about them, it's over. End of story. Attempting to gaslight them isn't going to end well for you either. Super empaths are truth seekers, truth speakers, and truth carriers. And the truth carries a vibration 1,000 times more powerful than any lie ever will. So who do you think wins the game? Effortlessly. Simply because of the purity of their intent, the love in their heart, and the caliber of their frequency, the super empath always comes out on top in the end. It's just a question of time. Super empaths are empowered, soul-aligned, sovereign beings. And what's good about this, in particular when it comes to dealing with narcissistic people, is they don't take on the narcissist projections. They don't fall for the crazy-making head games. In addition, they are fully unfazed by the toxic gossip and perception manipulation the narcissist uses to control how others see them. They literally rise above the nonsense and move on with their life, unfazed and unaffected by the games empathy-impaired people play. They're busy living their best life as their best selves, fully immersed in their purpose work and making a positive difference in the way only they can. Try as they may, the narcissist cannot take them out. Again, they are empowered, sovereign, and free. And that, my friends, is a beautiful place to be. Narcissists have no ever-loving idea how to deal with someone who is so unflappable, so unfazed, so personally empowered, confident, clear, genuinely loving, and strong. Someone who doesn't enable them, someone who doesn't participate in the narcissist's destructive tactics, childish head games, and manipulative ploys. Someone who is this kind of bulletproof and immune to the insanity. The truth the super empath carries and the clean standards they live by are enough to unsettle any narcissist. Again, simply by virtue of the energy, the frequency that they emanate. Narcissists are fundamentally fear and shame-based people who are terrified of exposure, in particular when it comes to their own shortcomings and inadequacies. And the energy of a super empath, the energy that they carry, inevitably triggers all the inadequacy and fragility of the narcissist and their false image. Without even trying, and simply by virtue of who they are, the super empath shines a bright light on the narcissist's delusions and all of the truth about themselves that they don't have the courage to confront. Narcissists are cowards to their core, terrified, tortured souls, acting out their pain at the expense of others. And often, unfortunately, while being enabled by a deeply unconscious and equally dysfunctional and toxic entourage. By contrast, the super empath is a spiritual warrior, strong, brave, courageous, smart, intuitive, kind, loving, honest, and high-vibing. Everything the narcissist is not. And exposure to the super empath's light is often all it takes to destroy the narcissist's fragile little ego. And this is why the super empath has so often been the target of so much narcissistic abuse, toxic gossip, and character assassination through deliberate smear campaigns. The dark is terribly afraid of the light and will work to destroy it at all costs. And because the super empath is emotionally strong and they trust themselves, they pick up on what others think and feel no matter what kind of mask they may have on, no matter what they think they may be hiding. Subtle, sneaky, passive-aggressive behavior doesn't get past a super empath. Again, they don't miss anything. They can read a room and the people in it with incredible accuracy and lightning speed, which is why insecure people are so easily triggered by them. On some level, they feel completely exposed because in reality, they are. You can't lie to a super empath and expect to get away with it. Not for long anyway. They can and will pick up on your true intent and disingenuous motives. They are no fools, and trying to manipulate or pull one over on a super empath is likely to seriously backfire on you. They remember everything, including small details, and they spot patterns quickly. Again, not much, if anything, gets past them, which is why, if your intent is not sincere, you're in the wrong room with a super empath. You will be exposed. They see and feel everything. Even the super empath's commitment to their personal integrity is enough to set the narcissist off. The light they carry shines on all the dark, shadowy places of a less evolved, less conscious, more narcissistic type. Further, in spite of their deep compassion and high empathy nature, the super empath has the ability to cut and cauterize with sociopath-like coldness if you give them good reason. Like, for example, if you're dishonest, disingenuous, phony, or toxic and harmful in any way to their well-being or the well-being of someone they love. The super empath will literally amputate you from their life without a second thought if you've shown them it's in their best interest to do so. They don't take on the narcissist's projections, and thus the narcissist is left to carry the burden of their disowned shadow self without the benefit of being able to dump it onto the super empath for relief. In short, super empaths are loving, kind, and fearless, brave, courageous, and incredibly strong survivors who shine bright. And the narcissist's darkness and toxicity are not only fully triggered by all of this high-vibing light, but it is also no match for the pure good, the gold the super empath carries. Zero contest. And that the narcissist resents more than anything. When a narcissist enters the realm of a super empath, they get more than they bargained for. Instead of a vulnerable target and easy mark who's easy prey, easy to manipulate, blame, and shame, and then work to destroy, the narcissist soon learns the extent to which they are fully powerless over a super empath. And, like I said, the narcissist is then left to deal with themselves and all the messes they've created, without the benefit of the super empath to toy with, manipulate, abuse, and exploit. And that, like I said, my friends, is a very beautiful thing. And with that, I'm going to call it a wrap. But don't stop now. I have well over 150 plus videos right here on YouTube for you to watch to help you better understand the detrimental effects of narcissistic abuse and, more importantly, learn what you need to do now to heal from the abuse so you can start living your best life in peace, confidence, freedom, and abundance. And if you want to go deeper with me, go to TamieMCoaching.com and learn about my unique tried and true process garnered over decades of experience and learn how you too can become my client.